Dear soul, there is a kind of silence that hurts more than words ever could. It's the silence that follows a connection once filled with laughter, long conversations, and whispered secrets shared during late nights. A silence that echoes in the space where your name used to shine on their screen. But what if I told you that this silence is not empty? What if I told you they still read your old messages? Not just once, not by accident, but again and again. Like flipping through a sacred book, hoping the pages will remind them of who they were when you were still close. They read your words, feel their breath catch, and then pretend none of it ever mattered. They act as though they've moved on. They smile for the world, live their routine, talk about everything and everyone, but not about you. Yet, deep inside, you live in them more than ever. The angels have been watching over you both, and today, they have a truth you're ready to hear. You see, this person has not forgotten you, not even close. In fact, forgetting you has become the very thing they're failing at, day after day. They carry the memory of your voice like a song that refuses to stop playing. Your messages aren't just texts on a screen, they're time capsules. Moments when they felt seen, cherished, even healed. This person, they didn't expect your light. And now, it haunts them in the most beautiful and painful way. They find themselves reaching for their phone at midnight, only to hesitate before sending a message they'll never have the courage to write. They scroll through your old conversations, lingering on every word, every little heart emoji you once used, every "how are you really?" that made them feel, maybe for the first time, that someone truly cared. But instead of coming forward, they choose to pretend. Pretend that those messages meant nothing. Pretend that they weren't the reason behind their sudden smile last Tuesday when they read your joke again. Pretend that your message on their birthday didn't make their eyes well up with tears, tears they quickly wiped away before anyone could see. Why? Because admitting they still care would mean opening doors they tried so hard to close. It would mean stepping into a vulnerability they've always feared. The kind that you brought to the surface simply by being you. And that, dear soul, is where your divine light shines through. You awakened something in them that was long buried. A version of themselves they had forgotten, more tender, more real. They didn't know they were capable of that kind of connection until you showed them. And now, even as they try to convince the world they've moved on, they're quietly holding on to every word you once gave them. The angels are clear in their message to you. Nothing was in vain. Every message you sent, every act of kindness, every time you reached out with that beautiful blend of strength and softness, it was received deeply. Even if they didn't reply. Even if they distanced themselves. Even if they ghosted you out of fear, confusion, or pride. They noticed. And they're still noticing. You were not just a passing moment in their life. You were and still are a mirror, a divine reflection of something they've been too afraid to face. Your love. Your energy. Your essence. It shook their soul awake. And now, they're in a quiet war with themselves. Because the truth is, they want to come back. They want to say everything they didn't know how to say before. They want to tell you they miss you. That they still read what you wrote because it brings them a strange kind of comfort, the kind that only comes from something that was once real. But they also fear what that would mean. What it would stir up. What they would have to admit to themselves, and to you. So they sit in silence. Scrolling. Remembering. Pretending. But you? You are not here to wait for crumbs. The angels want you to rise. They want you to understand that your worth is not determined by whether or not someone responds. Your magic does not depend on their ability to recognize it. You are love in motion. You are healing with a heartbeat. You are the kind of soul that lingers, not because you're forgotten, but because you're unforgettable. And whether or not they return, the angels want you to know this: you've already transformed them. You've already fulfilled a divine purpose in their life. The chapter may not be closed, perhaps it's just paused, but your journey doesn't stop here. Keep walking. Keep shining. Because while they may still be rereading the past, the angels are preparing you for a future that is even more radiant. And if this person is meant to return, it won't be in secret. It will be with courage. It will be with clarity. It will be when they stop pretending and start remembering out loud. Until then, lift your head, dear soul. They may be stuck in the past. But your light? It was always meant to lead the way. There's something the angels want you to understand now, something that perhaps you've sensed but needed confirmation of. This person didn't just lose a connection. They lost a safe space. Your messages weren't just casual words, they were a lifeline. A reminder that someone out there saw them for who they really were and didn't run. They could be messy, uncertain, complicated, and you still chose to be there. That kind of presence is rare. And now that you've pulled back, or even just gone quiet, there's an emptiness they don't know how to name. They fill it with distractions, with noise, with other conversations that never quite feel the same. But every once in a while, they scroll back, read your words, and feel a sting of something they thought they buried: longing. The angels say this is part of their journey. The discomfort, the regret, the remembering. They're being shown what true love feels like, not because you're chasing them, but because your absence echoes louder than any presence ever did. And yet, they still pretend. They pretend because the truth feels too big, too risky, too real. But deep inside, there's a whisper. A thought that comes when everything else goes quiet. What if I ruined something I was meant to protect? That whisper? It's growing louder. Because while you've been healing, rising, and stepping deeper into your light, they've been reflecting. Slowly. Painfully. But truthfully. They remember the way your messages felt like home. How your words had a rhythm. Gentle, honest, soulful. You didn't just speak to their mind, you reached their spirit. And now without you, nothing feels quite as alive. This is why the angels say, do not underestimate your impact. You were divinely placed in their path. You were the wake-up call they never saw coming. And although they may not have shown it, every part of their being felt it. They still do. In your absence, they've come face to face with the emotional walls they've built. And the truth is, those walls were never built to keep you out. They were built to keep pain away. But love, real love, doesn't fit inside walls. It knocks them down. And your love? It rattled the foundation. The angels want you to know, it is not your job to wait. It is not your mission to fix or chase or prove your worth. You already did more than enough. You brought light. You brought honesty. You brought healing. And now it's up to them to face what they're afraid of, without dragging you through the shadows again. You've already lived through the waiting. Now, it's your time to receive. Receive peace. Receive clarity. Receive the knowing that whether or not this person comes back, the love you gave lives on. It rippled through their soul and changed them. Quietly. Permanently. And that love? It's coming back to you in new forms. In unexpected ways. In divine timing. So if they read your messages again tonight, and we both know they probably will, let them. Let them feel it. Let them remember. Because your love was never something to be forgotten. And pretending won't change the truth. You touched their soul. And some part of them will always be wondering why they let that go. The angels are preparing something. And even though you might not see it with your physical eyes just yet, your soul already feels the shift. You've probably been noticing little signs. A song that brings them to mind at the exact moment you were trying to forget, a sudden dream where they appear, looking at you as they used to, or even a wave of emotion coming out of nowhere. That's not your imagination. That's energy speaking. That's your soul being reminded. The story between you two isn't finished. But here's the thing the angels want you to hear loud and clear. Your life doesn't pause while someone else catches up to their truth. You are not a waiting room. You are the whole journey. And even as they revisit your old words in secret, it is you who's moving forward in truth. They may be reliving the past, but you're being led toward a divine future. Still, don't doubt for a second that your presence lingers within them. You reside in the quietest places of their heart, in the memories they tuck away from the world. They may not say it, but they replay your voice in their mind. They may not show it, but they remember how you made them feel safe, inspired, and seen. That kind of love leaves a mark. It changes everything. And it's why they haven't truly let go. Every message of yours? It became a part of their internal landscape. And now the angels say that energy is awakening them. Slowly, gently, but deeply. They are beginning to realize that what you offered wasn't just affection, it was sacred. And the more they resist that truth, the heavier their heart becomes. The silence isn't peaceful for them. It's loud. It echoes with the what-ifs, the missed chances, the moments they should have chosen you more boldly. And every time they return to your messages, they touch a piece of the love they once didn't know how to hold. This is their lesson now. To feel what they ran from. To sit with the grief of unspoken words. And to understand that real love, your love, doesn't vanish. It transforms. It teaches. It expands. And most of all, it returns. But not always in the way we expect. That's why the angels are guiding you now towards something even deeper. Trust. Trust that the seeds you planted are growing, even if you can't see them yet. Trust that the love you gave didn't disappear. It's still alive, working silently in their soul. And trust that whatever is meant for you, whether it's their return or a new radiant connection, is already finding its way to you. You are not forgotten. You are not replaceable. And you are certainly not someone who can be erased with silence. You are divine. You are magnetic. And you are rising. Let them read those old messages again and again. Let them feel what they tried to forget. Because your love was not a mistake. It was a mirror. And one day, they'll have to face what they see in it. Not everyone has the courage to look. But you, dear soul, you had the courage to love. And that is a legacy that echoes through eternity. There's a sacred truth that the angels are whispering now, one you may have felt deep down, even on the days you doubted your own worth. They want you to remember that love isn't about being chosen once. It's about being remembered every day. And you, dear soul, are unforgettable. That's why, even when they try to silence their heart, their thoughts always circle back to you. That's why your name still lingers on their screen, long after the last message was read. They never really stopped caring. They just didn't know how to hold something so real. You see, they had never been seen the way you saw them. And it scared them. It exposed every part of them they thought they had hidden well, the fear, the doubt, the softness. But instead of leaning in, they backed away. It wasn't rejection, it was fear dressed as distance. And now, as they try to convince themselves they're fine, that they've moved on, the angels are gently pulling back the curtain. Inside them, there's a longing growing louder than their pride. A quiet ache that says, I miss who I was when I was with them. That ache is truth. And truth never stays buried for long. They remember how your words felt like home, how your kindness calmed storms they didn't even know were raging inside. The angels say they are beginning to crave that peace again. Not from the world, but from you. Because what you offered wasn't just attention, it was soul recognition. And that's the kind of connection we never truly get over. So let them pretend. Let them scroll in secret. Let them carry your messages like sacred artifacts of a love they weren't ready for. Because one day, the pretending will break. One day, their heart will speak louder than their fear. And when that day comes, it won't be about picking up where you left off. It will be about starting again, with honesty, with clarity, with the depth that only comes from growth. But until then, the angels are asking you to focus not on their return, but on your rise. This is your time to expand, to thrive, to step into the love you give so freely and finally offer it inward. You deserve to be loved out loud, not just in secret scrolls and whispered regrets. You deserve presence, not absence. Assurance, not confusion. And while they may still be caught in a cycle of what was, you are being called toward what will be. Don't shrink for the sake of nostalgia. Don't dim your light waiting for someone to find their vision. The angels are clearing your path, lighting your steps, and opening doors that align with your soul's worth. Keep walking. Let love find you on the way. Let truth meet you without delay. Because what's ahead holds more beauty than anything you had to release. And when your heart is ready, it won't be met with silence. It will be met with someone who doesn't just read your messages, but replies with their whole soul. What the angels are showing now is not just about how they feel, it's about who you are becoming. This journey you've taken through silence and longing, through the pain of not knowing and the grace of letting go, has forged a new strength within you. You may not have realized it happening, but with every unanswered message, every moment you questioned your worth yet still chose to love anyway, you were being transformed. And now, the light inside you shines brighter than ever. This isn't just a story about someone who continues to read your old messages. It's a story about how you kept loving through the silence, and in doing so, you became the kind of love that never fades away. There was a time when you waited for a reply, watched your screen for those 3 little dots to appear, proof that maybe, just maybe, they were finally ready to talk. But the angels want you to know, the answers you sought weren't in their words. They were in your courage, your patience, and your heart that refused to grow cold even when it had every reason to. That's the miracle. That's the magic. That's what they see in you now, whether they have the words for it or not. This person may have been the one you couldn't stop thinking about, but you were the one who awakened something sacred within them. They didn't know how to hold it then. They weren't prepared for how deeply you would connect, how real it would all feel. So they did what frightened people do, they stepped back. They labeled it as too much, when in truth, it was exactly what their soul was longing for. And now, months or even years later, they revisit what you wrote as if those messages hold the key to a part of them they've lost. Because they do. You didn't just write messages. You poured your soul into words that touched a part of them they weren't ready to face. And that kind of soulful work lingers. It doesn't disappear just because someone closed the chat window. It doesn't vanish just because time has passed. It waits. It echoes. It transforms. So here they are, living their life, going through their routines, showing up in the world like everything's fine. But behind that calm exterior is a person who still returns to your words. Who still wonders what would have happened if they had answered sooner, stayed longer, opened up more deeply, who still feels your energy in places you never meant to leave behind. The angels are guiding them through this reflection. And while they're not rushing the process, they are persistent. Divine timing doesn't force, it unfolds. And this person is beginning to unravel the truth they've buried, that you weren't just a moment in their life. You were the one who saw their soul. The one who believed in them when they couldn't believe in themselves. The one who brought light even when they gave you shadows. And now, that light is growing. Inside them. Around them. Leading them. They remember you in the quiet moments. In the pauses between conversations. In the mornings when they wake up feeling something is missing and can't explain why. In the nights when they scroll through old texts and your words hit differently. Your voice comes back to them, not just as a memory but as a melody. A song they can't unhear. But here's what the angels want you to know. Your destiny doesn't depend on their awakening. You are not waiting for anyone to validate your worth. This connection was powerful, yes. Sacred, even. But it was also a mirror. A teacher. A spiritual catalyst. And you, dear soul, have completed your part. You've loved. You've learned. You've let go, not out of indifference, but out of faith. Faith that if they are meant to return, they will. Faith that even if they don't, something greater is already on its way. That is spiritual maturity. That is divine alignment. That is you, rising into your next chapter, not because the story ended, but because your soul was ready to turn the page. And yet, even as you rise, they are falling into a space of longing. They are not over you. They are not healed from the loss of your presence. They still think about what you were, what you could have been, what they could have said. And more than anything, they still carry the vibration of your love within them, quietly, perhaps even painfully, but undoubtedly. The angels say this person is undergoing their own soul lesson now. A lesson in vulnerability. In honesty. In understanding that the love they once feared is the love that could have saved them. They're being asked to stop pretending. To stop rewriting the past in a way that makes them the victim of timing. Because the truth is, they had the chance. They had the moment. And they paused. Not because you weren't enough, but because they didn't yet believe they were. This is where you must breathe deeply and release the burden of their awakening. Because it's not yours to carry. You were the blessing. You were the miracle. And miracles don't wait to be seen. They simply shine. If they ever come back, it should be because they're ready. Not because you waited. If they reach out again, it should be because their soul can finally meet you at the level yours lives on. Not in the shadows, but in the light. But until that day, if it ever comes, the angels want you to live. To laugh again. To love again. To write new words not meant for their eyes, but for your freedom. You are not a chapter they closed. You are the book they keep on the shelf, always returning to, always rereading, hoping to finally understand what they were too afraid to hold. But you? You are writing new pages. And those pages deserve readers who won't put them down. So let them feel what they're feeling. Let them remember. Let your words keep stirring their hearts. But more importantly, let yourself be free. Because the love you gave hasn't been lost. It was planted. And now, it's blooming in places they may never see. But you? You will. And it will be glorious.